Hello again, everyone. I'm attorney Robert Flessas. Thanks for watching this video. In this video, I'm going to show you one of the forms that are required in order to file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy case and how to generally complete this form. There are approximately 18 forms that must be accurately completed before you file your case with the bankruptcy court. The form I'm going to discuss today is the first one, Form 101. This is the form where you insert information about yourself. It's pretty simple. The other forms start getting a little bit more complicated. Let's take a look at the form. This is the first form of a bankruptcy petition. It's called Form 101. They're taking basic information from you that's going to identify certain things. Now, this is a fillable form, and you can download it online at the United States Bankruptcy website. They're all in PDF format. This particular form is 7 parts on 8 pages, and it's not that hard to complete. This is set up for either filing as an individual debtor or joint debtors, and that's for spouses. Here's what we do. The first thing you're going to complete is going to be the district you're filing in of the particular state, and you can drop down here and you can search for your district and state, and that will complete that line. Case number, you won't know that because you didn't file the case yet, but you're also going to check off Chapter 7 because that's what we're talking about. Part 1 asks several questions. Enter your name. First, complete middle name, last name. And again, if you're filing jointly with the spouse, then that column would be filled out as well, and that's true for the entire document. This section here for other names in the last 8 years, usually you'll find this when someone has been divorced and they used a prior name, and that information will be entered right here. You would also enter the last 4 digits of your Social Security number here. If you had any businesses that you were operating, for example, a LLC or a corporation, you'd put the business name here, and you'd enter the Federal Employment Identification Number if you have that. Your address goes in this section, and they do ask for the county as well. Now, if you want your notices that are coming from the bankruptcy court after you file, say, for example, a post office box, you would enter that information here. This question asks why you're choosing this district to file in. Well, in most cases, people have lived in that district for at least 180 days, which is 6 months, obviously, or they have another reason. Some people are going to use, for example, an estate that allows state exemptions rather than the federal exemptions, or you have the option of choosing federal exemptions or state exemptions. You'll indicate that information here if you haven't lived in the district you're filing in for 6 months. We've already selected Chapter 7 at the beginning of this form, so it auto-fills this. How are you going to pay your filing fee? Well, some people will pay the entire fee when they file their petition. Some people will pay it in installment payments. And some people request that the fee be waived. But there's another form you have to fill out when you request that the fee be waived. Also, for installments, there's another form that you're going to fill out. If you filed bankruptcy within the last 8 years, most people say no because they haven't. But if you have, you would enter it here. Now remember, if you filed bankruptcy in the last 8 years and you received your discharge of your debts, then you can't file another Chapter 7 bankruptcy within that 8-year period. However, there are some people who had a bankruptcy filed within the last 8 years, and say, for example, they failed to pay their filing fee installment, the case would be dismissed. If that was the case, among other reasons that it could be dismissed, you'd enter yes, and the district it was filed in, the date it was filed, and the case number. Sometimes when people are getting divorced, they'll file a Chapter 7 individually. That's what this section asks for. Or if you filed as a business, for example, a Chapter 11, renting a residence, if you do, you would select yes. And this is important because sometimes the rental lease has been violated and there's an eviction filed by the landlord. And this is where you would fill out another form. This is indicating if you're a sole proprietorship. You enter the information of the business like you did in the other section, and then you would enter what type of business is it. If it's none of these, of course, you hit none of the above. If you did have a business and you were filing Chapter 11, that question came up earlier, then you would indicate the correct answer here. However, we did indicate in this petition that there was no business bankruptcy filing, and it auto-selected no. Do you have any hazardous property or any property that needs immediate attention? If so, you would click yes. Most people do not have that situation, so they select no. Credit counseling is important. In most cases, people have to complete their pre-filing credit counseling course. If you did, you'll receive a certificate, and that must be filed with a petition. That's where you would check this box. If you don't have the certificate, you would check here, but in most cases, you'll receive the certificate once you complete the course. This is where they ask if you need more time to complete the credit counseling requirement. And there are waivers, and this would show the reason for the waiver, and you would select the appropriate box. What kind of debts that you have? Well, most people have consumer debts. Some people that are operating a business as a sole proprietorship, they may have some business debts, and you would select this as well. Are you filing under Chapter 7? They ask this multiple times in this form. The answer in this case is going to be yes. How many creditors do you estimate that you owe? Well, look at your credit report. If certain debts don't appear in your credit report, look at the statements that you're receiving either from a collection agency or directly from the creditor. Add those up and put the number of debts you've got in here. You're going to be filling out a property form where you list your assets, but here they're asking you to estimate how much property you own. This includes homes, rental properties, cars, your furniture, things like that. You estimate it and click the applicable box. Out of all your creditors, you're going to add up approximately how much debt you have, and then just like the assets, you're going to indicate the amount of debt. Then you would sign here. If you have an attorney, you wouldn't even be filling out this form in the first place, so we'll ignore this portion. Then they're giving you information if you're filing without an attorney, and they're just warning you about certain things, and this should definitely be read. Then they're going to ask you to confirm that by checking certain boxes here. Then, of course, they're going to make you sign again and put the date and your phone number, your cell phone, and your email address. And that's it. And then you could print it. That is Form 101. You can download the form on your local bankruptcy website for the jurisdiction where you're filing. Most of the forms are fillable PDF format. If your local jurisdiction doesn't have online forms, you can go to the U.S. Bankruptcy website, their general website. All of the requirement forms are right there. I've posted a link to that page in the description down below. I'm attorney Robert Flessas, and thanks for watching.